Hey, everybody. I know I was supposed to be down in the sanctuary tonight, but ran into a slight technical glitch, so we're going to shoot for that for tomorrow night. So, shoo. All right. But I'm going to be down here tonight. So, hey, everybody. How in the heck are we all doing? And wow, congratulations for beating Amy in here to be the first comment tonight. Glad to see you all. Happy Pride Month, Amy. Pride in what? Just pride in whatever. All right. Hey, Scott. Glad you're here. Hi, Crystal and Bill and Gracie and Haley. How we all doing? Hi, Jan. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Jess Mack. Let's see. We got Mike and Tina are here. DW is in the house. Christina's here. Christina, I did have a pretty good day, actually. And yeah, Jan saw what I saw. Daryl beat Amy here. Hi, Dave Jessen. Hi, Sherry. Hey, Suze. Hi, Cheryl. Tim and Candy are in the house. Had a Frosted Animal Cracker Blizzard. Let's give it up for the Frosted Animal Cracker Blizzard, the greatest thing ever. Whoever has not had one of those, you're going to need to take care of that deficiency in your life sometime soon. So, hey, Ange. Teresa, who has not tried it, orange cream shake from Arby's doesn't even that's not even in the same category as the Frosted Animal Cracker Blizzard, FYI. So, hey, DW. Oh, your envelopes are in the mail. You should get them tomorrow. Yes, they're on your way. All right, good. Jan. Hi, Beth Reedy. Beth Reedy, where? I got something in the mail from Beth Reedy today, and what have I done with it? Hey, Beth Reedy, does this look familiar? I got your card in the mail today. Thank you. And tell your crew thank you for making it for me. See the 3 smiley faces. So thank you, Beth. I got it in the mail today. Appreciate it. Hi, Eric. Hey, Kevin. And Marge and Christina. Great. Yeah, there's a lot of calories flying around in this chat, Christina. That's kind of the chance you take. So, all right. All right, let's start off tonight by talking about Sunday, next Sunday. How many of you got the text and or email from me and are completely confused as to what in the heck I was talking about? Anybody? This is not from you, Beth Reedy? Did I misread the envelope? Because I'm pretty sure this was from you. Oh, you know what? You're right. It's not Beth Reedy. It's Beth Ely. You're right. It's not from you, Beth, but I got my Elys and Reedies messed up. My mistake. So Beth Ely. This is from Beth Ely, not Beth Reedy. Sorry, you all look the same in the chat. I can't tell you all apart. So, all right, Beth. Never mind. I'm just glad you're here, Beth Reedy. Thank you. So, all right, everybody kind of know what's going on. Daryl's going to come down. First light, you have the availability, if you'd like, to be in the sanctuary on Sunday. And tomorrow, hopefully I can get set up in the sanctuary. We'll live cast from down there. And I have an experiment I want to try. And we want to see if we can pull off. Daryl's going to pre-record the music. So the music will be on the screen on the screens for first light. And then the sermon and the prayer will be live. So I'll be there, and Daryl and Gene will pre-record their stuff. So that will be on the screens, and I will be there live to the sermon. And then Awaken will be in the parking lot as usual on Sunday. So I felt like it was a lot of words, but I had to say all those words to somewhat make clear what I was trying to do. So thank you for those of you who understood. So, all right, everybody kind of understood. So if you want to come and be in the sanctuary, we are going to have some ushers. We're only going to use the entrances to the emergency entrances to the sanctuary. Now, you will have access to the restrooms, but we want to curb that as much as possible, which means if you park in the parking lot closest to the Lutheran church, we're going to hopefully the weather will be nice. We're going to send you down around sidewalk to the side entrance. So both entrances that go directly into the sanctuary, that's what we'll be using. Mainly because the main entrance, first of all, we don't want people in Fellowship Hall. Second of all, the band and Mark and all those guys are going to be using the main entrance to set up equipment out in the parking lot for Awaken. So we'll have a couple things going on. So if any of you have any questions about any of that, let me know. And any of you who have access to people who may not get emails and text messages from me, please spread the word. Put it on Facebook and make phone calls. Call people and tell them that that's what's going to happen. I need the word to get out. So any way you can help spread the word, I would be forever in your debt if you would do that. So anybody you can call or anybody. No, I do not have enough help, Candy. I'm going to need people ushering. So if you want to help do some parking lot greeting and point people along the way, if you and Tim could be here to do that, that would be awesome. Yeah. We will not be, the offering plates will not be passed. They will be posted near the exits and people can give either coming or going. And so there'll be nothing passed to the pews. We've got the pews roped off, every other pew. We're not going to require anybody to wear masks, but they are highly recommended. So if you want to wear one, nobody's going to make fun of you about that. But if you don't have one on, I'm not going to yell at you about it either. So, but that's what we're going to do. So we'll be in the parking lot for Awaken, as we have been the past couple weeks, and we will be inside for First Light. Now, First Light will also be live streamed, which is why I need you guys to help me with the experiment as to whether or not we can get Daryl and Gene from the computer back to the computer and out to all of you. So if you want to watch online like we have the last 2 months, that will also be available, and there'll be a link sent out. The only difference will be instead of a premiere, it will be one of these. So this is a live stream. What we normally do for First Light is called a premiere. See, I'm learning all the YouTube jargon as a world famous YouTube content creator such as myself. No, we know all in the biz, we call it. We know all this stuff, and I'm really talking off the top of my head here. Let's see here. Both services, no, just First Light. First Light will be live streamed, and the reason is because I don't have enough cord. Suze just loves it when I say that world famous YouTube content creator thing. I don't have enough cord to get out to the parking lot to live stream First Light or Awaken. I wished I did. It would make my life so much easier, but I don't have like 500 feet of cord to get out there. So only First Light will be live streamed. We'll upload Awaken a little later. So there you go. Anybody got any questions about Sunday? And please, 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 if you could pick up the phone and call somebody and tell them what's going on, I would really, 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 really appreciate it, because we need to get the word out far and wide. And it will be online just like usual. I'll send out links like I always do, and it will be a link like it'll be a situation like exactly what this is here. Only instead of my gigantic head in the screen, it will be the sanctuary, and we'll be watching things. Any of you who may have clicked over and watched Shelby's funeral service, it will be very similar to that. So, all right. Thanks, Miriam. Okay. No, there will be no communion on Sunday for either service. Thank you, Teresa, for asking that. I didn't feel like that worked very well. And the last time we tried it in the parking lot, and I certainly don't want people moving around and coming forward for First Light. So, thank you, Eric. Well, Joyce, we may have started without you, but the party has not started yet. So the party is now officially started. Joyce Koenig is here. And the word is out. Well, hey, if March says the word is out, then the word is out. So hi, Linda. So thank you, Eric, for reading my article in the newspaper too. It just sickens me what's going on out there. I mean, come on, guys. I'm very sorry for the man who died, and that police officer who put his knee on that guy's neck deserves to be thrown in jail forever, as far as I'm concerned. But this, I don't know what we're rioting. We're all in agreement. It's like, us rioting that water is wet. What that man did is wrong, despicable, evil, and those are the nice things about it. So I don't What are we rioting against? Nobody's disagreeing with you. Nobody's disagreeing. Why are we rioting? I don't get it. I just don't get it. So, just we are so polarized as a people anymore, and the media just picks at that scab every day, and it just scares me to death where we're heading. And at a time when we're all quarantined, and apparently COVID-19 is over now because rioting and social distancing don't go together. So there you go. But whatever. I have no idea. We all need to go do something fun. Can I get a what up from anybody who needs to go do something fun? Because everything that's fun has been canceled. And I want to go do something fun. I want to go to a movie. I want to go to a park. I mean, like Cedar Point. Or I want to go magnet fishing. Or I want to just go do something fun. Anybody here wants to go do something fun, give me a what up in the comments. Because I just... After Shelby's service and this situation with Darren's son and... Oh, gracious word. I need a break. I need a break, y'all. Yeah, the drive-ins are opening, Eric, but since I turned 40, I can't stay up past 9:30. I turned to a pumpkin. Honestly, I'm amazed I make it home after this live stream without bursting into flames because I just fall asleep. Wherever there's fun, Joyce Koenig is there. And I knew that about you, Joyce. So... yeah, we all need a bit of fun. Yeah, Margie and Doug, I kind of anticipated in on the fun thing too. Yeah, I just, you know what? We're gonna have fun on Sunday. If you come to either service or get on live stream, we're gonna have some fun. Sunday, we're gonna celebrate somehow, and I hope you'll come out and be a part of it. Just because, good Lord, it's time for something to happen. So. I didn't get a chance to ask you last night, and I could tell that I'm on a tangent streak here. What did you all think of the sermon on Sunday? How many of you ever thought of Teresa? I could take 3 naps and still fall asleep at 9:30. That's not a problem. How many of you ever thought about why Moses' mom floated the floaty basket in the Nile? How many of you ever thought of why she did that right at that spot? Because she knew the soldiers wouldn't look there. Backyard fires are out for me. Well, I don't know. If you have one in the afternoon, I could come to that, I suppose. Yeah, I had a bigger problem with with 3 other ones. It didn't stop him. Kevin, I will agree with that. Those 3 guys that stood by and let that happen are at least as despicable as the guy who did it. I'm totally with you. And if I would have been there, I'd like to think I would have yelled at that officer. So... well, thank you, Christina. That's what I was hoping, to find something new to do with an old thing. I hope you all are excited about the Moses series. In my entire career, I've done sermon series on many, many characters in the Bible. I've never done Moses. And I've always wanted to, and I guess now's the time. So new for Scott. Yeah, I never thought about it. Very good. Thanks, Jan. Thank you, Jan. Yeah, I never thought about it either. I always just assumed she did it because God told her to, but you know what? It don't say that. So maybe God did. I'm not taking that away, but it don't say that. And when it don't say that, Tim's allowed to speculate, and we all know how much he likes doing that. So, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, we're gonna enjoy Moses. I'm working on the sermon here. I printed off the scripture this week and starting to think about what we want to do for this week. So, okay, good. Beth hadn't thought of it that way. Kevin enjoyed it. Thanks, Ange, Linda. Good. A lot of never thought about it that way. I love that. I love helping people see scriptures in a new way. And I really enjoy it. Okay, if I procrastinated long enough, should we do some book stuff, or you guys just want to talk tonight? So thanks, Val. Thanks, Candy. Tell you what, we may not make it very far into this chapter tonight because the very first part of this chapter, I'm on page 133, is got some questions I want to take a little time with. If you guys if you guys want to go down this rabbit hole and kind of see where we go. And I'm under the subheading says ask yourself, and he's got some pretty good questions here. He says, ask yourself. He says, when working with people who think they can't change, I ask 6 simple questions. Okay, I asked you all last night. Those of you who were here, and if you weren't, that you'll catch up quick. To think about something that you want to change, something in your life that you would like to be different. Okay. And many of us. I mean, and this could be a lot of things. It could be, a bad attitude. It could be a physical attribute. It could be a weight problem. It could be a financial problem. It could be a relationship problem. It could be. I don't know. You get to pick. I mean, it's your deal. You get to pick what you want. So you think about some in your life. If you have an addiction, a food addiction, or a drug addiction, or a porn addiction, or whatever it is. Think about what you want to change, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to spend, and we may spend all night on this tonight. We'll just see how it goes. We're gonna take excuses, and we're going to skewer them. I mean, we're just going to eviscerate them, because excuses tend to be we tend in our the way we look at it, especially when we're talking about bad behaviors, we tend to lump excuses with permission. Somebody jump in the comments and tell me, what's the difference between an excuse and permission? What's the difference between excuse and permission? What does it mean to have an excuse to do something? What does it mean to have permission to do something? Anybody got any thoughts on that? Jump in the comments. Tell me what you think. The difference between an excuse and permission. Nobody wants to take this one on? No, an excuse could allow you, Val, if you allowed the excuse to do so. Permission is granted approval, okay? And that's exactly what permission is, Eric. And the danger lies in that exact definition. In that, where does the permission come from? Can you be addicted to a frosted animal cracker blizzard? No, heck no, you can't be. You can't be addicted to that, even if you sit at home and dream about it and cry that you don't have one. Not that I would ever do that, but yeah. So there's no more delicious thing you could be addicted to than that. I'm just gonna say that straight out. So excuse justifies. Okay, permission. Okay. Excuse. Okay, let me. You guys are kind of got it here. Let me narrow this down for you. An excuse comes from you. A permission comes from somebody else, essentially. So if I'm going to excuse myself eating a 5-gallon bucket of a frosted animal cracker blizzard, which would be so fun until I had to go get an insulin shot, I could excuse that and say, well, I've had a stressful couple days and I can't do anything else fun, so this seems fun. I could do that. That's okay. Permission would be, I put it to a vote here tonight, and I say, how many people vote for Pastor Tim eating a 5-gallon bucket of a frosted animal cracker blizzard? And, if there's 34 of you in here, so 17 or 18 of you, that'd be a majority. Vote yes, I should go do that. Then I have permission. Unfortunately, we have to consider the source. And not that you folks aren't just wonderful people. I'm not sure that 18 of you approving of me eating a 5-gallon bucket of a frosted animal cracker blizzard, approving it, I'm not 100% sure that makes it a good idea. Because I'm pretty sure if I went to my doctor and said I'd like to eat a 5-gallon bucket of ice cream, I'm pretty sure my doctor would be like, I'm not feeling that. I'm just not feeling that, So that's the difference between permission and excuse. When we excuse something, and again, we can excuse good things. We can say, you know what? Today was a rough day at work. I'm going to excuse myself from mowing the yard like I planned because I just need some downtime. There's nothing, I mean, within reason, there's nothing wrong with that. Are you using an excuse to eat all that? I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, that's right, Scott. I won't do it again because I'll have to be in the emergency room if I try to do that. So, yeah, but that's the difference between excuse and permission. Does an excuse automatically lead to permission? No, it does not. And we also think that excuses have the power to not only grant permission, but also provide a reasonable explanation. yeah, Candy. That's what I figured. Everybody's like, well, if we get some, we might think about it. Yeah. So, but that's the difference between an excuse and permission. Is sometimes we want to give a whole bunch of power to an excuse, and again, excuses can be bad, but not necessarily bad. I mean, there are some things that you can excuse that are, it's not that big of a deal. It's not harmful, but excuses can run to dangerous places, and that's why you want to watch out for them and that's what these questions here on page 133. That's why I'm going through all this in such detail, is that we want to allow excuses, and what these six questions are going to help us cut through is, okay, I'm excusing overeating. I'm excusing drug abuse. I'm excusing, not sleeping well. I'm excusing being a workaholic. I'm excusing being mean to my spouse. I'm excusing, being lazy on my job. I mean, whatever it is about yourself that aggravates you, that frustrates you, that thing that you're like, I wish I'd stop doing that. But sometimes, like Paul, Paul says, I have to fight myself to get to do what I know I should. If that's where you are, then you're dealing with an excuse. And what these 6 questions are designed to do is to, for lack of a better term, eviscerate excuses, or at least help us identify excuses, because excuses are not permission. Doesn't mean they're good for us. Okay. All right. So let's look at the first one. And remember, he says here, if a person answers yes to 3 or more of these, chances are they have a problem. Okay. So as I ask these questions and you're thinking about whatever it is in your life that you want to change, whatever that thing is you identified, if you answer yes to 3 or more, you're in trouble. And if it's, it kind of goes up from there. If it's 4, it's bigger. If it's 5, you get the gist. Okay. So the first question is, do your family and friends say you have a problem? Even though you might deny it, others can see more objectively than you. Now, again, I'm not, if you want to get in the comments and say something, you're more than welcome to. I'm not asking you to answer any of these questions. But whatever it is, do people who and it's not like they harp on you about it, or every time they see you, it's like, oh my word, another donut? Are you serious? I mean, I'm not talking about that. But whatever's going on, whatever this issue is with yourself that you are dealing with, do people who legitimately care about you, have a vested interest in your well-being, who think that you're a good person, and well, all the people who care about you think you're a good person, but I mean, the people who legitimately want good things to happen for you, do they look at you and say, okay, this is a problem? They've identified it and have mentioned it to you, probably not every time they see you, but it's something they look at you and they're concerned about. This issue that you're excusing. Can you say yes to number 1? All right, that's the first one. Okay. Second, do you continue even though you are hurting people? If you look at what some people claim has control over you, whatever that thing is you don't like, do you keep practicing or giving into it even though it affects others negatively? You don't want to hurt people, but if they continue to suffer because of your actions, chances are good that you have a problem. So whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, first question is, do people who care about you mention it? Second thing is, does what you're doing affect them negatively, profoundly negatively? So I'm talking about if it's an attitude problem that we're dealing with, Are you giving them attitude? Do they have to walk on eggshells around you? Are they worried they're going to set you off? Is there certain things they got to be careful around and all that kind of stuff? If that range of things they got to be careful about, and they're having to adjust how they live in order to accommodate you, chances are there might be something going on here. Okay. Third, do you arrange your schedule, priorities, or spending around it? If you make major life changes to get your fix, odds are your fix has a strong hold on you. It's a big one we see in eating disorders. Do you run out of money a lot and not know what happened to it? Is there something going on there that you have to make sure you eat at a certain time and stuff? Now, again, I know there are medical conditions where you have to do that, so that's not automatically a thing there. But is it something you have to live around? Whatever it is you don't like about yourself. This is one that pornography can get to be really big around. Is do you have to schedule around it? And do you sometimes miss things, be late for appointments because of it, things like that? Or are you, habitually having to deal with that? Is it compulsive? That's kind of what the question is here. So if you have to live your life around it, if it's kind of the consistent thing in your life that you have to live around, that's a problem. Okay. Number 4. Now, this is one we're going to talk about. Number 4. Can you go 1 week without it? When I couldn't go 1 week without work, it became obvious I had a problem. If you can't walk away from something for a week, you're in bondage to that thing. Now, obviously, if the thing you're thinking about is an eating disorder, I'm not saying go 7 days without eating. That is not what's going on here. A food addiction is not nutritious eating. Food addiction is, can you go a week without eating when you're not hungry? That's the question. Or can you stay off the pornography for a week? I would recommend you stay off of it forever, but can you stay off for a week? Can you stay off? Can you not spend your money on something frivolous for a week? Can you go a week without it? Right now, if the concept of going a week without it frightens you, that's not a good sign. Okay, so whatever it is you don't like about yourself, or something that you want to change, if the prospect of going from now until next Tuesday without it is concerning to you, something you may want to think about. Number 5, is it driving others away? Once an addiction reaches advanced stages, it tends to isolate the one who's addicted. When your actions continually hurt, abuse, or neglect others, they tend to pull back. Do other people need to keep their distance? Or do you distance yourself from other people so you can participate in whatever this thing is? That can be a dangerous way to go. If you participate in this activity alone often, or it happens a lot when you're by yourself, or it's something that, you kind of isolate yourself away from family members and friends in order to participate in, that can be a very difficult thing to deal with. And that could be something that's very, very damaging. And then the last one, which I think is probably the most telling of all, is, are you denying it's a problem or trying to keep it a secret? If you feel defensive, adamantly insisting that you don't have a problem, you likely have a problem. Was it Shakespeare who had that famous quote that says, she doth protest too much? That's what this is. If you're hiding some behavior from others, there's a reason. You need to address it head on instead. So if it's something that you find yourself participating in, again, whatever it is, and there's a wide variety of things we could be talking about here. If you don't like to talk about how much time you spend scrolling through eBay and bidding on things, or stopping at McDonald's for something or whatever, if that's something you when you get home, you make sure you throw all the papers away, or whatever, however you're trying to conceal the behavior. If you spend a lot of time trying to hide something, there's a reason why you're trying to hide it. Deep down, you shouldn't be doing it. You know it's damaging. And it may not be the most sinful, awful activity on earth, but whatever it is, if you're trying to hide it, there's a reason why deep down you feel you feel the conviction to hide it, because if other people were to find out, or at least become aware that how much time, energy, resources, so on and so forth, that this thing in your life, this person in your life, this relationship in your life is taking up, there's a reason why you're hiding that. And it's because people who love you would be like, this is not good for you. And that's what you want to watch out for. So, again, I'm not asking you to jump in the comments and say anything about this. Whatever it was you decided that you're struggling with in your life, something about yourself that you wish you could change, were you able to say yes to 3 out of the 6 of these questions? Okay. If so, then it's time to go at the heart of this thing. Okay. Now, one thing that I'll tell you right now that doesn't work when you're trying to break addictive behavior, or you're trying to change a behavior, a thing that never works, at least not very long, is willpower. Don't rely on willpower. It runs out. It's a ticking time bomb until you fall off of that apple cart. Okay. So just to try to will yourself out of it. And look, if it's something about yourself that you already have trouble with and you don't like, you already know darn well willpower ain't going to get you out. You already know that. Okay. So the purpose of the next little bit that Craig talks about here is the first thing that's got to go. Now, we think it's the behavior that's got to go first. But actually, that's not where he goes with this. First thing he says, and if you look down at the next subtitle coming up here on page 134, you'll see exactly where we're going. He says, can the excuses. Before the behavior can go anywhere, the excuses have to be shut down aggressively. In fact, in the second sentence there, he calls it the excuse monster is waiting in the shadow. And that excuse monster is big. He's got claws and fangs, and he's really fast, and he's mean, and he's ugly. And he will get you. So to think you're just going to willpower your way away from the excuse monster, that's not going to work. The place where you absolutely need to start is to realize, understand, and actually kind of meditate on the validity of the excuses. Okay? And what they're allowing. Because it's the excuse that allows the behavior to continue. That's the only way in your life, no matter how broken you may be, or how difficult of a time you may have, or however bad your wound may be, there's only one way that you'll allow an addiction to continue in your life, and that is you have to have an excuse for it. And now the excuse could be as simple as, I really like it. Okay, but that's still an excuse. There's a lot of things I really like, including frosted animal cracker blizzards, but I don't go eat one every day because I know it's not good for me. Even though that freaking Dairy Queen's right around the corner from my house, I know I can't go there all the time. So I have to limit, the amount of times I'm there. And if we allow the excuse to live, the excuse will invite the behavior to come back. And that's the problem. So it's the excuse we have to take out first. So whatever the excuse is, it's just the way I am. It's a coping skill. It's, whatever that is about the thing that you don't like, whatever excuse allows that monster to live in your life, the excuse has to go first. Okay. If you go on to page 134, there's a paragraph there that says, before you could tap into God's life-changing power, you have to eliminate the excuse. Because look, everything in your life, it's the excuse that allows the behavior to stay. Whatever that attribute is about yourself that you're not happy with, that you know isn't good, it's the excuse that allows it to stay. Because think about all the other bad behaviors. I mean, look, we all got bad things in our life. I'm not denying that. But if you look at the wide range of bad behaviors there's far more of them that you don't have. Things that you don't deal with. Okay, and they just don't live in your life. For me, I mean, and again, I'm only using myself as an example, and I'm not saying this in any kind of judgment against anybody. But one temptation that I have never dealt with is alcoholism. I've never drank in my life, never had a beer in my life, not have any desire to. Never have, even in college. It just wasn't a thing. I was too focused. My life had one mission, and I've never deviated from that since I was 16 years old. And so alcohol wasn't a thing for me. I was working 2 jobs in college, and I didn't go to parties. It just it really surprises you all to find out I was not exactly a social butterfly, but it just was never a thing. So to me, now I know that's a monster that some people really, really, really deal with. Okay, and I'm not saying, hey, look at me, how great that's not what this is. What I'm saying is that's a monster that a lot of people deal with horrendously. I don't. It's not a thing for me. Not a thing for me at all. Never has been, and I don't look for it to ever be. So the idea here is that the reason that that's never become a thing in my life is I never excused it. I don't need an excuse for it. Because the excuse never lived. Now, other things in my life, as you all know, I had bariatric surgery, so obviously food addiction has been a thing for me. I could excuse it for a long time. Well, I'm a big guy, and my bad genetics and whatever. But that excuse, only goes so far. That may be a reason why things are, but I'm pretty sure that the gallon of ice cream that I would eat every day probably didn't help. And so as long as I allowed that excuse to live, look, even here recently, since I've had bariatric surgery and you all see me running all the time, right now I'm having a hard time keeping my pace down because my diet's been bad. So we have to be able to not allow excuses to survive. The excuse has to go. Because if the excuse stays and the behavior goes, the excuse will be like, hey, behavior, why don't you come on back? Where if the excuse goes, the behavior follows it out the door. See, we fight these battles the wrong way often. We think the real battles against the behavior or against the addiction. And it is, because it's the addiction that's causing the problem. However, it's the excuse that allows the addiction to stay. Anybody who breaks an addiction, there's always going to be an exception, but the vast majority of people who break an addiction break it because they got rid of the excuse or quit allowing the excuse to carry water. And as soon as that excuse no longer held water, the behavior slid right out of their life. Now, it's the excuse that will be the aggressive one to come back. The behavior is benign. Because look, I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with having a glass of wine with supper. I don't want to. It's not a thing for me, but I'm not criticized. I could care less if you do that, right? Because as long as you're not excusing getting plastered, whatever, have fun. But if that excuse though allows, and you say, well, I can have a glass of wine with dinner, and suddenly you drank the whole bottle, and you wake up the next morning not remembering how you got where you were. The excuse invited that behavior back. That's why the excuse has to go. Because once the excuse is gone, the behavior will slide right out the door. So the fight is not against the behavior. The fight is against the excuse. What excuse is the behavior? Yeah, Kevin, and I know. And I'm not trying to hold myself up as any kind of saint. Alcoholism is an incredibly, incredibly tough addiction to break. And I look, I stand here right now saying, thank God I never had to break that one. Okay. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not judging anybody who has. But it's the excuse that brings it back. And that's why the excuse has to go. I can no longer excuse this in my life. Because as soon as the excuse comes back, the behavior will come roaring back like a Tyrannosaurus Rex into your life. But as long as you can not allow the excuse to have any space, the behavior will stay away. It's the excuse that brings it back. Oh, Kevin, I don't doubt that for 1 second, my friend. The excuse is the hardest thing to get rid of. Because again, within reason, most behaviors are okay. I can't say any behavior, but the vast majority thing, like an occasional frosted animal cracker blizzard from Dairy Queen is okay. But if I'm driving over there 6 times a day for 6 months straight, I'm going to die. I mean, that's going to kill me. But if I have, 1 or 2 a week, that's fine. And that's where it's at. So if the excuse says 1 or 2 a week is okay, and the excuse makes it 6 times a day for 6 months straight, because the excuse didn't go away. That's right, Teresa. The excuse validates the action. Yes, we confuse the excuse for permission. I want to, therefore I should. I mean, that's the American way. Look at the protesters on TV. I really like that 4K TV from Target, so I have permission now that this cop did something evil and horrendous, so I'm going to go steal a TV in his honor. That's dumb, guys. That's freaking dumb.
Gosh, I don't even get that. But
I hope they throw that cop in the slammer and never let him out. But this idea that I'm stealing a tennis shoes in his honor, yeah, poor George Floyd. That's awful. That poor man. Not only did his life get taken away from him, his dignity and his legacy's gone too. And I just breaks my heart. Okay, I'm not getting off on that. You guys ain't getting me on this tangent. Let's go over to page 135. He's talking about, this great, I think, is this the one where he's talking about the blind man? Oh, no. This is the one where he's talking about the guy who wants to get well. I've always loved this story because I'm pretty sure this is the one. I think this is the one. I can't remember if it's this guy, but it's one of the guys that Jesus healed. He doesn't say here, so it may not be this guy. One of the guys, maybe one of the blind men that Jesus healed, but I love this story when he runs up to Jesus and Jesus says, this always gets me. Jesus says, "What would you like for me to do?" My goodness gracious, is it not obvious the guy's blind? But Jesus didn't see a blind man. Jesus saw a guy. Jesus saw a person and treated him with dignity by saying, "What would you like for me to do for you?" The guy's like, "Dude, I'd like to see again." I mean, obviously, what respect Jesus showed that guy by saying, "What can I do for you?" He kind of does the same thing to the guy here. The guy says, "I've been waiting for when the angel stirs up the pool of Siloam, and I'm waiting for somebody to put me in. And somebody always makes it in before me and gets healed." And Jesus says, "Well, would you like to get well?" And the guy's like, "Well, duh, yes." And Jesus is like, "Why don't you get up?" The guy got up. It amazes me. Jesus is awesome. I mean, that's my deep-seated theological statement for tonight. Jesus is awesome. One of the things I really love about Jesus is the way he approaches people. He spoke so respectfully to people that no one else respected, including blind people and the sick guy who'd been sick for 38 years. Spoke so respectfully to them, yet spoke so down to the Pharisees and the religious leaders who were so up on their high horse. What an amazing God he is. He didn't mix words, and I think that's great. But the one thing that Jesus did here is he eliminated the excuse, because the man, when Jesus said, "Hey, dude, you want to get up?" and the guy said, "Well, I can't because I didn't make it in the pool in time." Jesus said, "How about if I remove that excuse? Would you get up then?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And Jesus said, "Do it." And he did. As soon as the excuse was taken away, you don't need that pool. You don't need that pool, Siloam. You need me. And that's what got him through. Jesus removed the excuse, and the guy got up after, I think it was 38 years he laid there, if I'm not mistaken. What an amazing statement. Sometimes when we're dealing with these things about ourselves that we don't like, and we're deeply considering changing, and we don't because the excuse monster keeps sinking its teeth into us, we end up, and I'm turning now over to page 35. Let's see where I'm at here. Okay, on page 135, there's a paragraph there that says, "This hurting man was offered the opportunity to see God's power." That's the paragraph I'm in. Skip to the very last sentence in that paragraph that says, "I knew all the reasons why I'd never change." I knew them all. I had every single one of them. Thinking about that thing in your life that you'd like to see change? Do you know all the excuses why that's never going to change? Do you know them all? Name them one by one, right? I'm sure you do. Because again, bad behaviors cannot exist without an excuse. Because look, there's certain behaviors, and I'm not going to try and name any of them because they're really horrible. But there's certain behaviors that you know darn well you're never going to be a part of because for you could never excuse them. You could never find an excuse for that. Therefore, you're never going to do it. And Satan may come along and whisper an excuse to you, and it will be like nothing to you because you're like, there's no way I'm excusing that. No way. And by not inviting the excuse in, the excuse can't kick the door open for the behavior. So there's literally many bad behaviors out there that you're literally immune to. And the reason you're immune to them is you will never excuse them. You'll never excuse them. Therefore, you won't deal with them. What happens is when bad behaviors get into our lives through addictions and things like that, it's the excuse that allows it to stay. If we can slay the excuse, it will go away. So that's what Kevin says here. Kevin, that's what. Sorry, Kevin. That's what Craig says here. He says, "Look, I was building the kingdom." He was talking about his workaholism. I was building the kingdom, and I was doing all this great stuff, and I was changing lives and making myself awesome and being awesome and all this stuff. I was neglecting my family and my responsibilities, but dang, I was doing some really important work too. That sounds like a great excuse, doesn't it? But excuses always have bad behaviors to follow them. And that's why excuses are so dangerous. That's why the excuse has to go. I mean, again, and I'm not trying to make this too graphic, but kill it with a sword. Take it out. Because that's a problem you don't need in your life. And don't let that excuse put it there. And don't let Satan hand you an excuse to invite disaster into your life. Just stay away from it. And if you look at these things in your life, these things that you want to change, these parts of your life you'd like to change, addictions that you'd like to see broken, get in there and take out the excuses. And by taking out the excuse, I mean, okay, I overeat because I'm stressed. Okay, the excuse of I'm stressed, I will not eat for that reason anymore, ever. I'm just not going to do it, ever. Or you may say, I come home and I'm tired, and because I'm tired, I yell at my wife. Well, I'm not going to yell at her for nothing. Tired is not an excuse for yelling at somebody I love. I would say there probably isn't any reason to yell at your wife, but I think you get my drift here. It's when the excuse goes, the behavior follows. Where the excuse goes, the behavior follows. Maybe that's how we can say it. If the excuse comes into your life, the behavior follows it. If the excuse goes out of your life, the behavior follows it still. That's why the excuse has to go. Candy says a change requires one to live their life differently. They often don't want to do it. That's right, because the excuse allows it to stay. It's exactly right. And Beth Reedy says excuses is not justification. That is exactly right. But it sounds like it is, though. That's the problem. Or we're convinced that it is. Because that excuse keeps the door open for the behavior to keep coming back. But if you want that behavior to go, the excuse has to be the first thing out the door. So many people should really be hearing that. Well, thank you for that, Val. And but it's true. So whatever it is in your life that you want to change, you got to quit excusing it. And Satan's real good, man. He can come up with excuses as fast as you can delete them. And so, whatever it is, and that's why, when you're about to engage in something and you're wondering, well, is this good for me? Ask yourself why you're doing it. Because if it's something that you're going to be, again, looking at the 6 questions we looked at the beginning of tonight's study, those 6 questions, if you violate 3 of them, then you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Okay. Christina, talk to me. What do you mean you're one of those people? I don't know where you are in the study, how much the lag is. Tell me what you mean by you're one of those people. And Val, Satan is a liar, and Satan is a liar is one of the truest statements in the English language. So, and that's what he'll do. Because remember, I've told you so many times, and I'm going to stick to this the whole way through. Satan has one power. He has one. He lies. Fortunately, since that's all he does, He's real good at it. Oh, no, Christina, you don't need to be sorry. I just wanted to make sure I was addressing what you were asking. And I'm glad you find this meaningful. That's awesome. So if you have a behavior, if you have an attitude, if you have a relationship, if you have an addiction, if you have a hurt, a hang up, or a habit that you want to change, the first thing's got to go is all the excuses that allow it to stay. And there is not a single bad behavior that can exist in your life if you don't have an excuse for it. Because again, think about all the bad stuff you could be doing that you're not doing. Okay? There's plenty of bad things out there you could be doing you're not doing. And the reason you're not doing is because you will not entertain the excuse. That was my example about alcohol earlier. I've never allowed an excuse to come into my life, even a valid one. I never had one, so I just never did it. And therefore the behavior never had space in my life. Now, that's not to say I haven't had excuses for plenty of bad behavior down through the years, obviously. But that's what an excuse does. An excuse invites the behavior to come back. Okay. How much time I got left? I got 5 minutes. Okay, we're gonna skip. I got a few notes in here, but let's skip ahead because this chapter is too good not to get to all of it. I'm over on page 137 now. Craig goes on to address one of the biggest areas of excuse strengthening. You know, where do excuses gain momentum? Now, that could come from lots of places. And yeah, Sherry, that's a phrase we all need to learn. When that excuse starts, it's "get behind me, Satan." That's the one Jesus used. Peter was trying to give Jesus an excuse not to do what he was supposed to do, and Jesus, as he did so well, called him on it. But one of the places that these excuses can start to rise up is from the people you hang around. I have been telling teenagers for 25 years that you become who you spend the most time with. And that's not just a teenager lesson. That's an everybody lesson. And if you're hanging around with a crowd that excuses a certain bad behavior, the chances of you catching it are really, really good. So you want to be real careful about who you're spending the most time with. You know, and because that crowd is going to determine who you become. And that's why you need to be careful. And that's why I'm on page 130. Where am I here? 137. There's a section there called "Cut the Ties," a subtitle called "Cut the Ties." Page 137. If you skip down in that first paragraph to the second to last sentence, it says, "If you're surrounded by naysayers or others dangerous to your progress, ditch them." Did you hear that? Ditch them? Aren't we supposed to love everybody? Yep. That don't mean you have to be around them all the time. And if you are working through something that you're getting stuck on, or there's an excuse that you're trying to kick out of your life, and you're around a crowd that continues to hand that excuse back to you, or make that excuse easier to take or whatever, then that's going to continue inviting the bad behavior back in your life. That's why if there's some behaviors that you need to get rid of, there may be some relationships that need to not necessarily be severed, maybe severed, but at least not as focused upon. Because the crowd that you're with, and even if the crowd that you're with, causes you the stress that causes you to overeat, that's a problem too. But good behavior is caught and not taught. Same as parenting. Well said, Kevin. And Beth, I would certainly agree. Church family is important, and that's why I miss y'all so much. And that's something you need to watch out for. If there are people in your life who will not allow you to get rid of an excuse, or will continually put that excuse back in your life, then we need to have a real conversation about whether or not that person needs to be here and how much damage that person is causing. And because that can be very, very, very difficult. So And he gives a few examples here. If you're dealing with lust, then having a bunch of friends who go to strip clubs and watch porn, probably not where you need to be. If you're if you're determined to drop some weight, then your friend who continually pushes ice frosted animal cracker blizzards, probably not a person you need to hang around. Sorry. but if the people around you allow you to excuse bad behavior, that is a problem. Because again, it's the excuse is the problem, not the behavior. It's the excuse of the behavior. Whether it's by you or by you and the people around you, that excuse got to go. And that's when it becomes real difficult. All right. Let's see where I'm at here. All right. Let's flip over with my last. Oh shoot. All right. Last point I'm going to make. Right, Tim. You are a bad influence on me. Yes. I kind of thought that's where that was going. And all right. Under the section, this is the last point. I know I'm running out of time. This is the last point. Under surrendering to God's power. That's where I'm at. He says, if you believe you can't change, you're right. Don't be a self-fulfilling prophecy, guys. Your strength is limited. Your willpower is not bottomless. And let me tell you something. You could be a strong person, iron will, just very dedicated. But you cannot out willpower an excuse. You cannot do it. That excuse will beat you every time. No matter how much willpower you expend on keeping yourself on the straight and narrow, that willpower will not beat an excuse. It will not. It might for an hour, it might for a day, but it won't forever. That behavior will come roaring back as soon as the excuse beats your willpower, which it will do. So, oh yeah, Val, I'm sure CR has a lot to say about this and about removing toxic people. And those toxic people are the ones who bolster your excuse. Oh, it's not that bad. Or we're all doing it. Come do it with us. Yeah, stay away from that. So, all right, just one more point. I'm over on page 140. The sentence there says on page 140, change won't just take all the strength you have. It will take more than the strength that you have. Because I'm telling you, excuses are hard to beat. And they're so hard to beat that you can't beat them. If you allow the excuse to stay, then the behavior will never go away completely. The only way you're going to beat the behavior is by defeating the excuse, by saying, no, the excuse is not valid. The excuse is not working. And look, again, you're doing that right now. I mean, I'm assuming that all 30 of you logged in here at this moment have never robbed a bank before, because that's a behavior you can't excuse. So you don't go around going, oh, don't rob the bank. Don't rob the bank. Well, you don't have to do that because you're like, I don't feel like getting shot or arrested. Okay. So that's not something you have to worry about. But if you're talking about something simple, like some of these other things we talked about tonight, that excuse invites that behavior to come right back into your life, no matter how hard you're working to kick it out. So don't allow the excuse to take a root in your life, because that's when things start to fall apart. So, all right. Anybody else got any comment on this chapter before we just take a quick gander at what we're going to do tomorrow? Was this helpful? Was this conversation helpful? It's not behaviors that get us, friends. It's the excuses for the behaviors. That's what allows these behaviors to live in our lives. So whenever you start to excuse something, you got to say no. No, 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 no. And if somebody's trying to bolster an excuse or get you to accept one, answer still no. Okay? So stay the heck away from excuses. Don't be afraid to say the excuse is no. The excuse is not welcome here. That excuse is no longer welcome in my life ever, ever, ever again. Because if you can kill the excuse, you destroy the behavior. This was a great chapter. This may have been my favorite chapter so far. Not today, Satan. I should have worn my shirt that says that, Val. This has been my favorite chapter of this whole book. Was this one? I personally got a lot out of this one. Not that I did out of the rest of them, but I really felt this one resonated with me very well. That's right, Beth. No is a complete sentence. Yeah, this was a good chapter. So, thanks, Jan. Yeah, it was a good discussion tonight. So, all right, very good. Well, I'm sure this next chapter, chapter 8, I doubt any of you are going to resonate with this at all. This probably will completely miss. It's because it's when you believe in God but still worry all the time. I'm sure none of you fall into that camp, right? None of you fall into that camp, right? I mean, that's not something any of you deal with, is it? I don't have any warriors here, do I? The next 2 nights, we'll probably end up talking about, gardening or something, because I'm sure nobody here needs to talk about worry. Anybody? Yeah. Okay, so Val's telling the truth. I think Christina may not be. So, all right, very good. Hey, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of thought so. So we may find some gems in here. Yeah, Cheryl. Yes, his numbers of warriors. We'll just skip this one. That sounds like an excuse, actually. Didn't we just talk about that? Suze, look at the first chapter. That's me. The first chapter of this book. Teresa says, I play the what if game. Now, I play the what if game too, but it's fun when I play it. But that what if game can get to be dangerous if you let it go. So, Cheryl's already got an excuse for her worry. Maybe we need to review this chapter for Cheryl Miller here. And men don't ever worry. I'm not. Oh, the first paragraph, Suze. Oh yes, that 1:12 a.m. A few minutes later is 1:32 or 2:32. Yeah. Yeah, I know, Suze, you're not the best sleeper. You're always texting me in the morning saying, didn't sleep very well last night. So, Val, I don't know about this men never worry thing. I don't know about that. So, yep. So I was growing my workaholic problems, and that happens a lot at 1 a.m. So, all right, everybody. Well, that's what you got to look forward to tomorrow. Is I'm going to come back and punch you between the eyes with another hard-hitting chapter of how we can break these things, and that's what it is. I hope this conversation was meaningful for you tonight. Honestly, this was the best chapter so far, I think, about how to destroy addictive behavior, and that is by destroying the excuse. It's just the same as pulling a plant out by the roots or just cutting the top off. It's the roots are the excuse that allow it to go. Men show it differently. That may be true, but men worry a lot. So, all right, everybody. I think we have come to that sacred time of the night. Amy is telling everybody to please give a thumbs up to this video. I would very much enjoy it or appreciate it if you would do that. Not that I'm going to worry about it or nothing, but I'd like for you to do that. I appreciate you all sharing your evening with me. I'm just honored that you guys come out to do this. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a good night's rest tonight. I hope you're sound asleep between 1:12 a.m. and 2:32 a.m. and you don't wake up either time. I want you to sleep all night. So, guys, thank you. You honor me with your presence by being here. I appreciate it. Tomorrow night, I will try to be down in the sanctuary so we can run my little science experiment and see if it works. Leading up to Sunday, I appreciate you guys being my guinea pigs, and I love you all very much, and appreciate the discussion, and I enjoy this time so much, and look forward to it all day. So, everybody have a great night, and y'all know what you need to go do now, right? What do you need to go do now? Go wash those hands, and have a blizzard, according to Eric.